Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. It's Macro Talk 2. It's Thursday. It's the first day of August 2024, and we have a lot to cover today. This is the second part of a two-part series on photomicrography. On Tuesday, we talked about photomicrography. I told you what it was, the similarities and differences between it and macro photography, and introduced you to one of my heroes of macro photography and photomicrography, a person that you'll get to know very well in the coming video, Charlie Krebs. I interviewed him last week, and he was the impetus for me to do this series this week. And we're going to carry on from where we left off on Tuesday today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what photomicrographers take pictures of, and by way of doing that, I'm going to introduce you to four of my other favorite photomicrographers. I have several. I have quite a lot, actually, but there are four in particular that stand out, and they all photograph slightly different things, and I'm going to introduce you to them, not in person, of course. I'm going to have links to their websites and where you can find their work over on my article on my website. It's www.alanwallsphotography.com/blog, and the name of the blog this week is P-Micro. I think it is P-Micro. Yep, that's it. But if you just go to my blog, it'll be the last article I wrote. Now, there are a few things I want to talk about before we dive into today's stuff. The first is this coming weekend we have a Pazoom. This is a Pazoom week, so if you are a Patreon supporter, then 10 o'clock on Saturday morning we're going to get together, as we do every other Saturday, to talk about macro photography and things related. We're going to be doing a few more personal introductions this week. This has been a really excellent series we've done, where my Patreon supporters introduce themselves through their photographs. They tell us what they're doing, what they're interested in, and we get to see some of their work and talk to them and ask them questions. It's just been a great way to get to know people. If you are not a Patreon supporter, this would be a particularly good time for you to become one, because not only do you have opportunities like this to get to know a lot of other very, very fine macro photographers, but it's also a great place to learn, and there are other benefits to being a member over there. For example, the video that I am almost, well, that's not strictly true. The video that I am editing, I almost said almost finished editing, that is coming out this weekend, the video with Charlie Krebs, is about a 3-hour long interview, and the content is just pure gold. If you are interested in photomicrography, or if you're interested in photographing anything small, you need to hear everything he has to say, because it is jam-packed with good advice and good information, something that you definitely want to watch. But 3 hours is too long for YouTube. Nobody will watch a 3-hour video over there. So I've boiled that down to about an hour of the best bits. Though that's not strictly true either, because I had to cut out a lot of really good bits to make it fit. But the Patreon guys get to see the whole thing if they want to. So that's going to be a real treat. If you want to watch the entire conversation, you can. It'll be over on Patreon. Okay, so there you go. Now you know. Let me see. This weekend, by the way, in addition to introductions, we're going to be getting caught up on people's rigs. One of the other benefits of being a Patreon member is this is a wonderful place to go to talk about equipment. To talk about the rig you're building, or problems you're having selecting the right materials, or any number of things that come up as you're building a macro platform in your home. This is the place to go to share your plans, to talk about your problems with the rig, and get really good advice from people who've done it before you. And this week will be fairly equipment heavy because we're going to be talking quite a bit about platforms. I know that Bud Parrott, the star of After Stack, coming up next weekend, by the way, episode 4. That's our post-production, post-processing live stream event that we do every other Saturday. But Bud is going to be talking about his incredible setup this weekend. So there's a lot of reasons to be over there, and I hope you'll join us. For example, I think that, excuse me, somebody's going to be focusing, of course, on the release of the brand new Nikon Z11, which is going to be a big stir for everybody. No, there is no Z11. That was just a joke. But still, you want to come in case that maybe there will be a Z11 by day after tomorrow. You never can tell. I hate to digress. Excuse me, a frog, which you're about to see a picture of, got in my throat. A friend of mine called me yesterday and said, "Hey, Alan, there's something new in the works that you've got to check out because it's just awesome." And he sent me a link to a video. I am going to put a link to that video over on my website in the blog. It'll be added. So if you've already read the article on the website, you need to go back and look at it again because it'll have these links. But it was about a piece of software that's available that you can get. It's not free. You can get a similar version of it that came out earlier for relatively free. But he said you got to check this out. It's called the what's it called? The Gen 3 Alpha. It's magic, he said. It'll take a photograph, a still photograph, and you give it a prompt in words. You tell it what to do with that photograph, and it makes it into a video. Seriously. So you put a photograph in and say, make this bug fly, and it will make a video of the bug flying. And I thought, well, that does sound like it would be spectacular to have. So I watched the video, and the video was pretty stunning, and the examples that were shown were amazing. And the guy, his name is Ian, and I forget the name of his channel, but it will be over on my website with a link. And I was most impressed, and I was ready to plonk down the however many dollars it was to get the most current version and start using it. But I thought, you know what, I'll check it out first, just to make absolutely sure, because sometimes these things don't quite work out the way you thought they might. And I'm going to share with you some of the video that I made. And I warn you, this is disturbing, and you probably you probably if you're prone to seasickness, I wouldn't watch this, or if you're prone to just scary things in general. What I did was I put a picture of me into the machine, and I said, please make a video of me from this video where I'm frowny faced, breaking into a smile. That seemed like a reasonable thing to ask, and I'm going to it's a little bit embarrassing, but I'm going to show you, and forgive me because the screen is going to be a little bit busy. Just look at the part that is in the middle of your screen, and you'll be okay. I'm trying to move some things around so you don't have to see all of it at the same time. Hang on just a second. I had too many windows open at the same time. This is me breaking into a smile, and yeah, bear this in mind before you buy this software. Okay, so let me play it. It's just a 4-second loop. Did that look like I was smiling? I don't think it did. So let me show you the other one that I made. This is also me breaking into a smile. Right, you're thinking, yes, where do I buy this software program? No, you've got to see the best one. So this is my best smile of the series. Very happy with this one. Now, does that look like I'm either getting ready to have a seizure or vomit? That's what it looks like to me. I'll show you that one again. I decided that what I ought to do was check out a nature photograph. So I found a frog, not a real frog, a picture of a frog, and I asked this program, which so far was not really doing it for me. I asked the program to please have this frog that I made slide down the leaf that it was on and then clamber back up again. That was the video I asked it to make. So let me it's almost as bad as me breaking into a smile, but let me find it for you. Hang on just a second. I've got so many things going on this screen that I want to make absolutely sure I don't lose any of them, because we're going to be needing this screen later on. So hold on just a second. I don't know what I've done with it. It may have gone away. I'll tell you what happens in it. Absolutely nothing. The frog just sits on the leaf and doesn't do anything at all. I'll try one more time to find it here. Now here it is. Well, it won't open. It's probably the program decided, no, you better not let that open and let people see it. The frog just sits there, doesn't move, doesn't slide. I think one of its eyes changes shape briefly. So if I were you, and Gen 3 Alpha is something that you've been thinking about getting, try it out first, because I think you might get a good laugh out of it, but I don't think it's quite ready for prime time. So anyway, I got a good chuckle out of that. The competition is over. The competition from July. The theme was, I found it at a grocery store. There were originally, for the most of the month, there were 3 entries. Now there are some 3 million entries or something. It filled up quite rapidly. This afternoon, I think this afternoon, the plan is that I'm going to be meeting with my guest judge. We're going to be judging the competition today, and then we'll record our video tomorrow. That's usually the way I like to do it, to give us time to think about it. But that was him beeping me a little bit ago, so I don't know if we're going to make it. It might be a little delayed. But the plan is that we're going to get together today, come up with the results, and then do the video tomorrow, and I'll release that right away. So that should be out in no time. And I told you my guest judge this month is Harold Hall. He helped me judge last month as well, so he's getting a double dose of having to work with me this month. But this should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Next month's competition is probably the most challenging one we have done yet, but it's also one of the most interesting because it's really going to put you to the test creatively. The theme is My Tiny Universe, and what that is all about is making a scene, not making a scene like I used to do as a small child in the grocery shop. Do not do that. That will get you in all kinds of trouble. But you have to make a scene at a macro scale, and for the sake of this competition, I am going to call that 1 to 4. That's quarter life size or smaller. This would be extremely difficult to do at high magnification, so we're going to relax the magnification rule just a little bit so that you can get a little bit more room to work. You can use any props that you want. You can use little figures, you can use anything that you want, but you may not composite. When you enter your photograph or photographs, remember, one photograph if you have previously won this competition. If you have never won this competition, even if you've placed second 15 times, you may submit 2 pictures. And let me remind you, there are no circumstances under which 3 or more pictures will work. and because I actually look at the names at the end to see whose pictures they were, I'll know if you submitted 5 or 6, as happens every month. If you do that, none of them count. Okay, none of them count. I don't pick the best 2 and throw the others out. None of them count. So that's the rules. So 1 in 4 or larger magnification, and it really is going to be judged on the basis of how creative you can be, how clever the picture is. Technically, of course, it needs to be a good picture. It can be stacked. I do not consider focus stacking to be a compositing skill or a compositing process in the sense of the word I'm talking about. What you cannot do is photograph something big and resize it down to make it look macro and then plop it into your scene. That is compositing, and that's not okay. So it has to actually be a single photograph or a stacked photograph of your scene. Think little model of a girl swinging on a swing that's hanging off a plant. That's a good example of your tiny universe. That would work. It would fit. It would tell a story and all that kind of stuff. Storytelling will get you big points on this. You can improve your chances of doing well by coming up with a good title, a title that maybe tells us a little bit about the story you're trying to tell. All the rest of the stuff we judge as usual. I don't have a judge yet selected for this month. I've got a bunch of volunteers, but if you are among the folk that have put your hand up to do some volunteer judging, let me know if you're interested in doing this one. This is going to be a particularly difficult one to judge, but it'll be a tremendous amount of fun. So that's it, my tiny universe. And I have learned how to change the thing on the Walls app, so that when you go to the Walls app to drop off your picture, the announcement will be up to date. It'll have the current instructions. It'll give you any special rules you need to be aware of. So that will be done this afternoon. So you'll be able to see it over there. You've got a month to submit your pictures. We close the competition at midnight on the last day of the month. Okay, the picnic is real and it's happening on September the 7th. It is going to be held here in Peoria. The actual piece of property we're doing it on depends on a couple of factors, but I've decided it just makes more sense to do it here, at least for the first one, and it's going to make it easier for me to do more for you and to make it a bigger, more memorable event. And it's going to be a memorable event because it's going to include a hands-on, real-life workshop where we're going to be talking about using unusual macro optics for field macro photography. That will include wide-angle macro, tilt-shift macro, long focal length macro. What else? Anything else I can think of that will involve using unusual lenses, I'll bring them and we'll have them there in real time. You'll be able to give them a shot, and I'll show you how to use everything right there, close and personal. And then when we get done with that, which will be the first part of the day, then we're going to go off on a nature ramble for real. You and me, either in groups or as one big blob, like a slime mold, will crawl through the forest and we'll find things to photograph, and you will take pictures that you will be submitting to our little miniature competition for the day. Yeah, bring a camera. You will need a camera. Harold, I'm doing a live stream. I'll get back to you as soon as I get finished. That's my guest judge getting anxious, probably. So that's the first part of the day. When we get done crawling through the underbrush and we picked all of the ticks off of each other, like you do when you're in the woods, then we head to the picnic, which is going to be kind of like an Irish picnic. I can't tell you any more about that right now, but it's going to be not the kind of picnic you would normally think of that involves wasps and ants and poison ivy. It'll be a little more civilized than that, but it'll be a chance for us to sit around and talk. And for my Patreon viewers who come, any Patreon VIPs will also get to tour the studio, which, walking through a basement in Peoria, Illinois is not often considered to be a grand prize, but it's going to be fun, and that will be open to you. My Patreon supporters who are coming into town early or have to stay late because of travel arrangements, I will be treating to dinner on one of the 2 evenings. So another reason to be a Patreon member. I already have 15 RSVPs. I need to know an absolute deadline for head count is next Friday, the 9th of August. So if you're planning to come, you need to get in touch with me through the Walls app or through the Patreon messaging system, the only 2 ways I will get your messages, and you need to tell me how many people are coming. You can bring as many people as you want, and it's free for everybody. There is no charge for any of this. This is my thank you to you for sticking with me for the last 6 years. So I am really looking forward to it. If you can't make it, a lot of this is going to be live streamed. I'll make a video of all the footage that we take while we're doing this, so there'll be something entertaining to watch. And if you want to make it but you're in Europe, as so many of you are today, don't worry, just start planning to be in Dunbar in the Scottish borders on the east coast of Scotland sometime in the middle of August next year, because we're doing a picnic there as well. That one's going to be a blast. I cannot wait. Well, they're both going to be a blast. So that's August 2025. Put it down in your little black book. And that is about it. Let me see. Next weekend, After Stack, 10 o'clock in the morning. I may have mentioned that. That's where Bud Parrott and I discuss all kinds of post-processing for macro photographers. It's a great conversation. Lot of cool stuff to learn. Bud does a recap from the previous session at the beginning of each session, so you can actually go to the recorded video, which will be on YouTube, and you can get all the information right up front and don't have to listen to me talk at all. So that's good. And lastly, let me see. There was something else I was going to tell you about. The video that is coming out about Charlie Krebs, it's going to be 2 videos, as I said, a Patreon version and the regular version. But either way, you'll get to know why Charlie Krebs is the top of my list of favorite photomicrographers. The guy is not only a technician in that he knows his way around a microscope better than anybody I know. He uses custom fixed up microscopes that he's built, focus stacking mechanics on. Oh, let me start that sentence again. That was just appalling. There was so much grammar wrong with that sentence. You'd think talking would be easy, but yeah. So what Charlie does is he takes microscopes, good microscopes, and adapts them to how he does his photography. And we talk about all of this in the video with pictures and everything. I'll show you all of his rigs and how he sets them up. But we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, about how macro photographers adapt their camera equipment by adding extension tubes and additional lenses and reversing lenses and adding microscope objectives to make cameras that behave a lot like infinity corrected microscopes, while microscopists adapt their microscopes in order to take good pictures through them. That's really the core difference between the two. And in the process of talking to Charlie and looking at his work and sharing his pictures, and you are going to just be blown away by his images. I'm not going to show any of them today. I showed a few on Tuesday, but I want to keep the others for the video. But we're going to be looking at some other very cool stuff today. It got me thinking about the other photomicrographers that I follow and that I enjoy, and it got me thinking about all the things they photograph. And one of the examples of stuff I've done, and I am not one of my favorite photomicrographers, not by an order of magnitude, but I love to photograph computer chips and other electronics. It's something that doesn't really lend itself well to using the camera and lens, but does extremely well with a microscope. So that's something that I dabble in. The kind of stuff you're going to be seeing today and the artists I'm going to be talking about today take it to a completely different level. And there are a few myths about photomicrography that are probably worth dispelling or at least discussing briefly. That, for example, it takes a lot of research grade laboratory microscope equipment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, it can, and there are people who use that kind of equipment to take some of their photographs, and it is absolutely jaw-dropping what they can do with that equipment. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to have a DIC system on your camera or a polarizing setup on your microscope to take extraordinary photographs of living organisms in aquatic settings. You can do all of that with a fairly basic microscope and a simple adapter for your camera. Of course, it helps to have better equipment, and the better your optics, the better your pictures, but it shouldn't exclude anybody. And a lot of it you can do with your macro photography equipment simply by setting it up in a vertical orientation and changing a few things about your lighting. You can do a lot of this stuff. So it is something that I hope that Tuesday's discussion and today's discussion, the Charlie Krebs interview, and what we're going to be talking about in a little bit today will get you excited enough about this to give it a try, because it really is something that you can give a try without having to invest a fortune in money and time to get up and running. So it doesn't have to be that expensive either. You can buy used but perfectly serviceable microscopes that would cost tens of thousands of dollars new for $50 on eBay, or sometimes they need a little work, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're fixed and ready to go. You can take the parts from a microscope and make a new one. All of this is stuff that you have to have a little bit of the maker in you. You have to want to spend some time building the stuff. I've got a whole series of videos on how to convert an old microscope into a high magnification photomicrography focus stacking mechanism with a motor and everything. That's coming up very soon now, and it's going to be very helpful for those of you that want to give this a try. The last thing you'll hear said about this is that it's very difficult. That one's true. It is very difficult. I wouldn't enter into this unless I was looking for a challenge. This stuff is hard to do, and like I talked about on Tuesday, there are several important but subtle differences in how you go about photographing things at this scale. I'm not going to say any more on that because it's covered so well in the interview by Charlie, but let me talk just a little bit about some of the things that you can photograph, and then I'm going to introduce you to these people I want you to know about. Plant cells. Plant cells are oftentimes quite large. Certainly in certain parts of the plant at certain times of their life cycle, they're pretty huge, and you can see an enormous amount of detail in plant cells as they're growing. Again, some of the examples Charlie shows are just jaw-dropping, so you'll definitely want to watch the video for that. The stomata, the little mouths underneath leaves that open and close to allow gas exchange for plants to respire as they do. You know, plants, generally speaking, the green chlorophyll containing plants, take in carbon dioxide as one of the substrates for their metabolism, and they put out oxygen. Well, that gas is coming in and going out through these little mouths that open and close on the underside of leaves, and you can photograph these things. It's amazing, the stuff you'll see. Insect parts, the scales of butterflies is classic. One of my favorite things to do are the mandibles of tiger beetles and ants. Amazing anatomy and just stunning stuff to look at. Soil. You remember that we did a week or something like that, more than that, with Andy Murray. An interview with him was part of that, where we talked about soil microfauna, the little tiny bugs that live in the soil. I've done videos about that, and yeah, it's wonderful to watch these things at play. The soil is just full of fascinating creatures like columbola and little nematodes, and you can find them teeming in any soil sample. Great fun to look at. Minerals that appear in the soil or in sand or in dirt. Just sift through sand and you'll see the most spectacular crystals of different colors and shapes that you could ever imagine, all in a teaspoonful of sand. You can spend a whole weekend looking at that. Aquatic subjects are some of the most interesting. Things like algae, Spirogyra, one of the most beautiful plants you'll ever see. Long strands with these helical fibrous bundles in them that just look like something out of outer space. Diatoms, or the skeletons of diatoms, if you want. All of this stuff can be seen best through a microscope with a camera attached, as opposed to with our macro rigs. Other microorganisms, things like Hydra, amoebas of all different types. Charlie has some pictures in this interview of a kind of testate amoeba that it builds a little castle around itself. It's a hexagonal shaped tower that it lives in, and then it sends its feet out through the windows. Very Rumpelstiltskin-like. I imagine if he'd been an amoeba, it would... forget I said that. That's just going to confuse you. But paramecia, another one. It's hysterical to hear Charlie talking about how to prepare a slide with paramecia on it without squashing them to where they look like vibrating pancakes, I think he called them. But anyway, all of these are in your pond, in the bird feeding water. I mean, scrape the bottom of it and you'll get all of this stuff. I mean, it's everywhere, and it's stunning to look at. Aquatic invertebrates, either that crawl around or swim around. Daphnia you'll find in pretty much any water sample you grab a hold of. Daphnia are little water fleas that move around like rockets, and great fun to watch and fantastic to photograph. One of Charlie's favorites are the rotifers, and we have pictures of rotifers for you in the interview as well. Rotifers are really, really gorgeous creatures. Their anatomy is so... They look like goblets with a rim of very rapidly vibrating cilia. They shine. They're beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Other subjects that crawl around, bacteria. E. coli you can see. You need to be at higher magnification, but typically a photomicrographer has access to magnifications well above 100 and is able to image things like Escherichia coli or cyanobacteria, which are very large green-blue bacteria. Great to look at. You can watch them divide. You can watch them do all their bacterial things. And that's something that certainly is a little bit out of the realm of regular macro photography. Protozoans, Vorticella, Euglena. You probably remember all of these names from school. Well, they haven't changed. It's still the same things. There are things that don't zip around. If you're not feeling like chasing after things on the slide, fungal parts or elements like the sporangia of molds or yeast cells. You can watch yeast grow and bud and divide. Of course, then there's the whole world of slime molds, which are a different subject. They're not a fungus. They're not an animal either. They're kind of somewhere in between. But slime molds are an endlessly fascinating subject, which also lends itself very well to using a microscope as opposed to just a camera. The structures of plants, other than just the cells you look at, you can also get into the root systems and look at the way the root filaments work, the hairs on the roots, the things that live in and around the roots of plants. Fascinating. Pollen. What pollen does will blow your mind. We tend to think of pollen as a kind of inert, granular thing that's related to plants somehow, and it spreads plant genes all over the place. But how do the pollen grains get their reproductive material into a plant? Well, photomicrographers photograph that. They photograph these tubes forming that carry the genetic material from the pollen into the plant, and you can actually see these in images, in some cases even in slow motion, not slow motion, you know what I'm talking about, time lapse. Time lapse photography or videography, where you can actually see the contents of the pollen grain being dragged down into the plant. Amazing. There are things that happen at the very tips of roots where the root cap cells are dividing rapidly, and you can get to see mitosis happening, actual cell division, and photograph that. You can look at chloroplasts in plants. Chloroplasts are the structures in which chlorophyll resides and where photosynthesis takes place. You can actually see the structure of those cellular organelles under light microscopy. As you get more into it, you can do all kinds of different things with the light. Now, and again, Charlie and I talk about this at great length, using different kinds of lighting with different kinds of polarization and DIC and phase contrast and that type of thing to get fantastic effects with things you normally can't even see under the microscope because they're transparent. In animal subjects, red blood cells, white blood cells, just a blob of blood under enough high magnification under a good microscope, and you can be entertained for days looking at that. The tissue samples, I generally don't recommend that you look at tissue samples. I did this when I was a kid. I got my brother to volunteer some muscle fibers. I told him it wouldn't hurt. It did. It hurt a great deal. He's never let me do anything at all like that ever again. But yeah, it's probably best that you not do that unless you happen to come across some muscle fibers that are already out of a person. Nerve cells, ditto. Yeah. I didn't even ask my brother if I could have a nerve cell because I knew that he might feel that. Food. Yeast. You can watch yeast dividing in bread dough. It happens so fast, it's amazing. You can look at the structure of fruit cells, and again, a lot going on in those. Human hairs, fascinating to look at, difficult to tie knots in, but fun to look at. Insect wings, insect antennas, insect feet, weevil feet, if you want a good laugh as well as to be amazed. Inorganic substances, as you know, crystals that we grow, salt crystals, sugar crystals, or all these weird chemicals that we like to make crystals out of, vitamin C, and you name it. I've got just boxes of different things that make cool crystals. Fibers, synthetic fibers, they all have different properties. They all look different under the microscope. You can just pick a fiber off your clothes. Be careful though, if you pick the wrong fiber and it keeps coming out, that might be the actual thread, and you could end up with your sleeve falling off, or worse. So yeah, if you're going to use fibers, be careful. Metals. metal looks amazing under the microscope. I mean, again, all kinds of different ways to photograph it, and full circle back to the things that I like to photograph, the micro controllers, the chips out of computers. And the better your microscope, the more magnification, the more you can look in detail. Rick Littlefield likes to chop these things in half and look at the inner structure of things like diodes. Fantastic, interesting stuff. Okay, I want to introduce you to 4 people. I was going to introduce you to 5 because there's somebody that I followed for a long time who appears to have disappeared off the internet. Her name is Daniela Schneller, and she's a German botanist. And for the life of me, I cannot find her anywhere online, so I can't show you any of her stuff, which is a shame. But if you find her, let me know. And maybe she's changed her name. People do that. And if she has, that would explain it. But there are many, many great photomicrographers out there. They're not by any means all as good as our own Charlie Krebs, but there are some that stand out as being particularly excellent in their field, and I want to share with you some of their names and show you their websites and tell you how to get there. All of these links will be in the article on my website. Let me just pull up the correct browser so that I can share my screen and show you. What I'm going to do is just show you their main websites or their Nikon Small World page, just so you can get a feel for the kind of stuff that they do. And we're going to begin with Wim van Egmond. Let me find his page real quick. He is he is something else, and this is the homepage of his website. He's a world-renowned photomicrographer, and he loves to take pictures of aquatic life, much the same as Charlie does, protozoa, algae, that type of thing. And just like Charlie, you don't really know where the science ends and the art begins, because his images and his videos are just so breathtaking that it doesn't make any difference whether you call it science or art. You're just left slack-jawed at the beauty of it. You know, the idea of macro photography and macro videography is that we capture images of things that are too small for people to see, and we show them what they look like. We show them these things at a scale that they can appreciate just how breathtaking nature is, and it really is. You just have to stop and look at this tardigrade, which I've never seen a picture of a tardigrade that beautiful, wandering across the field. These things are tiny, but yeah, Wim van Egmond, you need to check him out, and his whole website is full of stuff like this. He's just got a wonderful portfolio of images and diatoms. You've just got to see his stuff. It's breathtaking, and just like Charlie's work, it'll either make you work 14 times as hard to improve your macro photography, or it'll make you take up badminton instead. It's that kind of work. Anyway, that's Wim van Egmond. Another person that I know several of you follow and talk about quite a bit is Marek Miss, who is quite well known for his images of crystals. He does a lot of crystal art, and he manages to find those images in a whole field of crystals that he's made that just look like something else, that just are stunning to view. He also photographs all kinds of things like rotifers, just like Charlie prefers to do. But his claim to fame, I think, is probably his crystal work. But all of his stuff is good. He is very much an artist first. He's won all kinds of prizes for his work. This is Marek Miss, or Mies. I'm not exactly sure how he pronounces it. I've never talked to this man, but one of these days I hope I will. Igor Savanovits is a biophysicist, and his work, I'm showing you this from the Nikon Small Worlds competition. These are the submissions he's made to the competition, and yeah, it is a different look at photomicrography. He uses a lot more color to show insect parts, and I'm sure that many of these photographs are familiar to you. This is a rotifer, by the way, that he won second place for. Not sure what that is. I should know. It looks very familiar. It'll come to me in a minute. Antlion, probably, something like that. But yeah, he uses a lot more colorful approach, and I've seen his work in all of the scientific journals. He shows up all over the place. Lovely work, very it's got an abstract feel to a lot of it, but yeah, just stunning, absolutely stunning. He's based in Virginia, I believe. Yes, in Virginia, and does a lot of his photography up 40, 50, 60 times magnification, as well as some of the larger organisms. Anyway, another guy that does something rather different is Ralph Grimm. Ralph Grimm is really a specialist in bee anatomy. He's from Australia, and a lot of his stuff is insect parts up close. But he also is a winner, as is Charlie, by the way, 2005 Small Worlds winner. Ralph Grimm also won with this image, the eye of a honeybee, something that we've all photographed before, I'm sure, just a few years ago. He lives in Jimboomba, which I wish I lived in Jimboomba so I could say that fairly frequently. I've no idea where that is, but Jimboomba is probably he should have got a prize from Small Worlds for the name of his hometown as well. Again, his stuff is all about detail, and geez, look at those diatoms. I mean, really hard to imagine getting sharper, cleaner pictures at 120 times magnification than that. What a talented guy. This is somebody that I would very much like to one day get on the program, and yeah, we'll see if we can do that. Oh, look, this is a video. So yeah, getting Ralph to come on and talk to us about how he does this stuff is something that we can think about in the future. Would you look at the heart on that thing beating? I think that's its heart. It could be its stomach. Who knows? Amazing, just amazing. So these are a few of my absolute favorite artists, favorite photographers in the photomicrography world, and you have to agree that what they're doing is qualitatively different than what we macro photographers do. But look at that thing eating. There's enough, or not eating. It may be pooping actually. Who knows? Again, it's a mysterious world. Maybe it's doing both. Maybe it does both through the same area. Anyway, Lovely, lovely photographs. Check these people out, including Daniela Schneller. Say her name 3 times quick. That might be why she changed her name, actually. Ralph Grimm, Igor Savanovitz, Marek Miss, and Wim van Egmond. In no particular order, some of my favorite photomicrographers. So I hope you enjoyed having a quick look at them. I could go on. This field is growing, and as the equipment gets better, and I'm sure you'll recognize that a lot of the equipment that some of this was taken with is probably out of the range of most ordinary humans. It's research level equipment, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of it's done with more accessible stuff. So I hope you feel motivated to give this a try, and show us what you come up with. But there's a whole world of beautiful stuff out there just waiting to be looked at. So look through the links. I'm going to link not just these folks, but pretty much everybody I follow. I'll link to their websites so that you can learn a little bit more about photomicrography and what it is. The video of my interview with Charlie will be a chance for you to learn the most about it, because we talk about everything and show pictures of just about everything as a special treat, because you've all been so good and have stayed sitting and not been wandering in and out of the room like you so often do. I will show you just a couple of pictures that I have got permission from Charlie to show to whet your appetite for the coming video. I said I was going to do this the other day and then I couldn't find them. I have them, but the question is, where did I put them? Sit tight, I'll find them. Oh, I know what I did. When I was making those lovely pictures of me morphing into different versions of me with a smile, I moved things around just a little bit. Let me put them back in the correct order. Date added is the correct order. There we go. So I'm going to show a couple of the pictures of Charlie's that we didn't get to talk about, so that you otherwise wouldn't get to see these at all. That doesn't look right, does it? Let me try something else. There we go. So this is the kind of detail that you can expect to see when we are talking about, oh, that's me you're looking at. That you can expect to see something much better than that. So this is it's a leaf, actually. It looks like a wing, doesn't it? But it's a leaf. We didn't talk about this picture, so it's one that I feel like I can show you. We also didn't talk about this wing, which looks like the wing of a fairy wasp or something similar. Very little internal structure, very simple wing made for just catching the breeze. Could be a feather, though. Who knows? Who knows what it is? I have to check with Charlie. I'm going to show you one more, and then I'm going to get over and answer some questions. I said something the other day about, well, I'm not supposed to show pictures that are in the video, but I'm going to show this one because it's one of my all-time favorite Krebs photographs. If you're into aphids like I am, you've just got to see this picture. It doesn't get any better than that, guys. It really doesn't. This is an aphid traffic jam, and I could sit and look at that picture all day long. In fact, I have largely done that for the last few days. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. If you have never given any thought to photomicrography, if you have never wondered what it would be like to take pictures at high magnification like this, you need to watch this video. Now here's one that I can relate to. This is the kind of, well, this is the subject that I like to photograph. I just can't do it like this. Isn't that wonderful? Absolutely brilliant. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions in the remaining 6 minutes. If there are any, if there aren't, I will just be completely silent and yeah, wait for somebody to say something. Let me see. I'm trying to get back to the, here we are. See if there's anything in Telegram. There are a couple of questions. Baconmeister asks a very appropriate and timely question. Hey, Alan, whatever happened to the NovaFlex lighting video? Are you still waiting for them to get back to you? Yes, I am. I finished the video 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago. Finished it and sent it to them for a fact check, which is something I do when it's an expensive piece of equipment. And I asked to get their clearance to go ahead and release it. And I also asked for them to send me an address to send the equipment back to. And I have not heard back from them. Now, in the lost and found, if you don't pick up your stuff within, 90 days, they keep it. This would probably be a good one to have a rule like that. So I might add that to my bylaws before the 90-day mark. But yeah, I'll get it out the minute they say it's good to go. But it's ready. Yeah, you might not recognize me. I've aged a little since then. But yeah, it's on its way. Zeno wants to know if Charlie is the guy that the Krebs cycle was named after. It is not. That was a different Krebs. I think a Dutch monk or something from few hundred years ago, or a couple of hundred years ago. No, the Krebs cycle is a biochemical pathway that you have to learn when you're in medical school or university. I can't remember where I learned it. I forgot it the next day, so yeah, it wasn't a memorable occurrence. But this is not the same Krebs. It's purely coincidence. And good evening to Alistair. Thank you, sir, for everything you do. I appreciate you being over there to keep people in check. Let me see if there are any questions or comments that I need to address. Let me see. Russ Richard got so engrossed he forgot to mention to give me a thumbs up, so I'll do it for you. Russ, don't worry. You can stay engrossed. Thank you for everybody who gave me a thumbs up. That makes a difference. Let me see. We've got a whole bunch of folks in the house, and my goodness, this would take too long for me to say hi to everybody, like Gary, Nazim, David, Paul, Demetrius, Zeno, Joseph. Greetings. Joseph wants to talk about the Z11. I knew he would. The embargo is now over. Yeah, we can talk about it. And yeah, that eyebrow raise. Yeah, that was. I can't even do that in real life. And the thing where I'm going like that looks like something out of Silence of the Lambs. I've had to stop looking at that video. I'm going to try some more, but so far it looks to me like a rubbish program. Don't tell Mike that, because he thought it was pretty spectacular. And lots of question marks about the Z11. I do love it. You guys. And Nick asks if this thing is AI, if it's learning with each request. If it is, it's getting worse. Each time I asked it to no, make me smile, not make me barf or scream or whatever you're doing. Make it into a smile. It doesn't seem to get it. Telling it over and over again made no difference. I'll experiment with it some more. I was using the cheap version too, the free one, and that, you get what you pay for. Generally speaking, when my friend Mike says try this, you're going to love it, he told me to watch a television program. I do not watch television. I cannot stand it. I don't watch an hour of television a year. Well, I don't have a television, so I don't even watch that. But he told me, go on your Netflix, which I have for my kids. I I shouldn't say that because Netflix is probably saying, do they live with you? Because if they don't, we'll charge you separately. But anyway, I have Netflix, and he said, watch this program called Ripley. It's after, the Patricia Highsmith novel, The Talented Mr. Ripley. It's about that. It's a mini-series. It's the best thing I've ever seen on television. It's the most breathtaking photography or breathtaking videography. It's everything about it is stupendous. The characters, the costumes. It's set in 1961 in Italy, and I was in Italy in 1963, which probably helps. The vibe is all right for that. It's filmed on the Amalfi Coast. Stupendous, fantastic. So when he said check out this video device that makes videos out of stills, I thought, well, it's going to be as good as Ripley. It's not. It's not. It's not as good as Ripley. So, Zeno's Heritage Genealogy website has the ability to animate photos. It's cool to see dead relatives from 100 years ago start to smile. Well, if they do better than me in that video of me smiling, if I had a dead relative who gave me the look that I gave myself there, I'd disown them. I mean, I wouldn't want anything to do with them. They look like they're turning into aliens. All right, so Z-cars. I haven't heard that word since I was a boy. Z-cars was an old police procedural television program in England when I was a little youngster. The Z-cars. Am I thinking of the right thing? I think I am. Gosh, that takes me back. Did anybody ever watch The Singing Ringing Tree? The one with dwarfs that lived under a bridge? I have PTSD from watching that as a child. Don't let your grandchildren watch it. The Singing Ringing Tree. Utterly terrifying. Had a talking fish in it as well. Anyway, let me see. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this. This week has been a good one. It's nice to dabble in something a little bit different. There's some back and forth between Russ and Alistair about why they're called Z-cars, because it's because they're Zephyrs, weren't they? Yeah, Vauxhall Zephyrs or something like that. My mum had it was a Jeep, a Mini, but it was one of those ugly Minis that had fake wood. It might have been real wood, actually, on the side of it. You take a beautiful car like a Mini and make it look like a station wagon, a tiny, tiny station wagon. Terrible, terrible. Demetrius asks, what about two objectives installed serially in order to have working distance and higher magnifications? No, it doesn't work that way, I'm afraid. Objectives are designed to work at a specific distance from the sensor, and if you were to, you would create so many geometric and color aberrations and weirdness and probably vignetting, and it would be virtually impossible. That doesn't mean, they're both glass. They both have holes through them with glass, so you can get an image out of the other end, but it's not a practical thing. You would never stack objectives like you would stack lenses, regular lenses, and of course with infinity corrected objectives, you would have to have a tube lens that would work with the objective, and when you stack two tube lenses, there won't be a tube lens that will work with that. You'd have to make that too. It's a good question, but it doesn't really work that way at the end of the day. Though I like the way you're thinking. So we're out of time by 4 minutes. I'm sorry for running over. I just wanted to make sure I'd said hi to everybody. I didn't see Susan's name, but I'm going to say hi because I bet she's out there. Then Joseph goes on and talks about working distances and things. So read the there's a good conversation here. I don't have time to read through it, so I'm not going to. And let me see. There's it sounded like there was somebody getting a bit shirty there for a minute. Mike's here. Mike, how's it going? Maynard G. Krebs. That's the Krebs cycle guy, I think. Is it not? I think so. That rings a bell. Anyway, I think we're out of time. We are. I don't think I have met. Is that Aya Kovos Strikers Photography? Don't think we've met. It's a pleasure to have you at the live stream, and thank you for coming. I hope you come again. If you've been here before and I haven't said hi to you, forgive me for that, but I'm glad you're here. Oh, thanks to my videos, he learned or she learned how to photograph micro minerals and created a web page of Greek minerals. Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. I'm so excited. Well, do keep coming back. There's much more to be learned. I'm going to say goodbye. See you on Saturday if you're interested in the Zoom meeting, and keep your eyes peeled for the competition, which will be coming out probably tomorrow or the next day, the competition results, and the Charlie Krebs video, which will be coming out at the weekend. That I think is enough for 1 week. Don't forget to RSVP if you wish to come to the picnic. You need to let me know. If you don't let me know by the 9th, we might not be able to accommodate your needs. Thank you everybody for coming. This was great fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If I didn't get to say hi to you, like just me, I don't see any. And this, look, yeah, I made a joke about that one time, didn't I? And it was actually a real name. So yes, I won't do that again. And there you go. That's it. So thanks everybody for coming. Thank you, Alistair, for keeping everybody in check. And I will see you guys Saturday or next week or in a video. Stay safe. Be well. Catch you next time.